While you were in the little girl's room, Gary, I was rifling through your wallet.
What?
I have to ask, who is that lovely lady in that photograph? What's her name?
That would be my mom?
Is she single?
No. Start the race.
So this is just a heads up in case you guys aren't aware, but it was confirmed by Sony that the online servers for two of its greatest kart racers will soon be shutting down forever. I'm pretty late to the party on this news, but with pretty much any news that I share with anyone, that's pretty typical at this point. Well, in particular anyway, I'm talking about LittleBigPlanet Karting and sadly ModNation Racers. It is unconfirmed if this applies to all versions of ModNation, you know, PS3, PSP, and Road Trip on the Vita, or just the PS3 version, but likely it means all of them. The servers are set to go down permanently in early July, and LittleBigPlanet Karting will go down on July 2nd, while ModNation Racers will go down on July 10th. I personally never played LittleBigPlanet Karting except for a demo in the beta. Well, no, I guess that's technically not true. I got access to the beta by being selected. Sony selected me to beta test LittleBigPlanet Karting, but I never installed it. Yeah, that's the best way to provide feedback on a beta game is to not install it and not play it. Go me. Moving on, I don't feel sad that that game is shutting down since I have no sentimental value towards it. In fact, I originally hated the game entirely since I thought it was trying to replace ModNation and it was trying to be ModNation, but well, I mean, there's Sackboy, but whatever. But after release, in my eyes anyway, it seemed to perform on par with ModNation in terms of a player base, maybe even less players, but I don't know for sure since I never really played it. That's just from what I saw. One thing that I know you guys have wanted me to do for a while, alright, not just a while, but for a long time, is go do more ModNation content. Like more track showcase things and more specifically commentated online races. The friend race series I did never had any commentary in it, only music and sometimes copyrighted music at that. That really wasn't the best idea, especially when people like to hear reactions. The series really ended after I fell out of the desire to race online, and friends never seemed to come online to race. They were either playing other games, or they just didn't want to race. Just as well, getting decent footage of the races was either hit or miss when I was actually doing it. I don't even remember how long ago I did the last one. But with that, the footage back then either looked pristine and perfectly fine, or it looked choppy and interlaced despite the game being set to 720p, 60 frames a second. It definitely would have been a better series if it had voiceovers, and if I had done it on probably if I had done it on Windows 7 instead of Windows XP. That may have contributed to some of the interlaced and choppy looking footage because of the drivers I was using and the fact that, well, let's just say I only had a 256 megabyte graphics card, and that, you know, that doesn't get you very far with anything, so that's probably another reason. But I looked back at my uploads, and the last time I made something related to ModNation Racers was 6 months ago. Yeah, 6 months ago, imagine that. And that was me showing the improved version of Grand Battle Strip, aptly named Japanese Battle Gauntlet. No racism intended on that, it's just, it uses the Far East theme, and so, you know, I'm not going to call it like the North American NRA, Paul Ryan, Barack Obama gauntlet. That probably wouldn't even fit it within the character limit of names, but yeah, so 2 other videos anyway preceded that. Grand Battle Strip, you know, the original, and Big City Raceway, which was recently published at the time. And before that, the last thing I made before those was a 3-hour live stream of me going through tons of my old unpolished tracks in the editor. And that was once, like I just said, 6 months before. Don't even think for a moment that I stopped liking the game, ever. It's not true. It's bullshit. I never stopped liking it. The reason I stopped uploading stuff of it is I simply found other games to play because I wanted to branch out a bit and expand my library to more series and genres. I occasionally came back to the game to see what was new with the community or to work on a few tracks and publish them. But for the most part, I was doing other games just to branch out and make myself look like I could do more than just ModNation. Not that ModNation is bad. You guys know me, I love the game. But if you've taken a peek at anything I've uploaded lately, you probably noticed, at least, I didn't count them, but there are at least 7 recent videos of this newer early access racing platformer game called Distance. I do believe I've mentioned it or talked about it at least once before, and aside from that, it's the live stream I did of the cracked version of 5041 I did about 8 months ago. But if you know me well enough, then you know that I love in-game level editors. Distance has such a feature, at least on the PC version. The PS4 version will probably not have that, but I'm not here to talk about that. And it's probably the most powerful level editor I've ever seen. Even though it may not be practical to do this, I've taken a few of my tracks from ModNation and recreated them in Distance. A few are up on the workshop now. Go check out my workshop page. You know, totally not selling out. Wink, wink, wink. Now, you might wonder why I'm even taking time to do that. But even though ModNation's online servers will be gone in a few months, I want the legacy of the tracks, at least the ones that I've built, to live on, even though lapped maps are frowned upon, since Distance isn't a typical racing game, quote-unquote. So far, on the workshop, there's Mr. Me's Epic Boardwalk, which has about as good of a rating as you might expect. 3 stars, just like in ModNation. Private Oasis, Big Jumps, and that Ruins track I made, but I rebranded it as Haunted Ruins to remove a tie-in with a Pokemon fanfiction. I'm also doing this because I love the community of ModNation and want others to experience tracks made in that game, even after the game goes dark. But then, you know, enough about Distance. As one last ditch effort to put ModNation content on my channel, I plan on making a ginormous montage of online races that I plan on having to span multiple hours. Commentated, of course, unlike that Friends series I did. I actually don't know how well that Friends series did. I might have to look into that. It'll give the game one last moment in the spotlight on my channel, highlighting some of the best that the game has to offer with the community that still remains loyal to it. Although it may be difficult to do since I'm working now. Yeah, this 19-year-old finally got a job. Yay! But I'll try to do some when chances arise. I originally didn't plan on returning to the game for a long time, not because I don't like the game, but just because, well, I was bored of it, really. There really wasn't too much to do. But the news that the servers have been shutting down made me bring out the PS3 and dust it off, aside from playing the game to recreate ModNation tracks. This should also serve as proof that I am indeed reading your comments about wanting me to play online again and make more ModNation videos. I respond to just about every comment I get if it's worth replying to and isn't something on the Temple Run 2 music videos. The comments also serve to prove that despite being 8 years old, the ModNation player base is still there, albeit much smaller than it was a couple years ago. The track editor, going back to ModNation again, the track editor was a dream come true once I got the game, as I had always wanted to make something to make tracks with. Believe me, I went ham on it. This is confirmed from the fact that I bought every piece of Track Studio DLC and the game's Unlock All key. I wanted to get right into creating. In fact, as far as non-Steam games that can display your playtime somewhere go, ModNation Racers is the game that I've played the most, with over 5,000 hours logged total. 5,000. 5 with 3 zeros. That's if I calculated the insane and jumbled mess of numbers correctly. If not, then it's probably around 2200, 2300 if I calculated it wrong. But either way, that's a lot of hours. That's twice as much as I've done in Rocket League. Yeah, I have 1,400 hours in Rocket League. It doesn't even touch ModNation at this point. But seeing this game go dark after so many years makes me upset, but then again, the player base has considerably shrunk, and it's been around for 8 years. 8 is quite a long time. It's probably time for it to go, to be honest, since not many people are playing it anymore. But I don't want to see it go, but I don't have a choice in that. I can only hope that Sony brings in a new developer to work on a sequel or a port to the PS4, or God forbid, Steam. Since United Front Games, the original developer of both the aforementioned games here, went out a while back. If it were to happen, you know I would buy that in a flash. Especially if you can transfer all of your data from the PS3, including your creations, your career progress, all the DLC purchases. If you could transfer all of that information to the PS4 and have it be a seamless experience, that would be so cool. 1080p or higher support would also be nice, since ModNation, as it stands now, doesn't support anything higher than 720p. But then again, that was back in 2010 when 1080p was, kind of... It still wasn't the thing that everybody needed to have. I'm sure that it would look stunning with the capabilities of the PS4 in any resolution, really, seeing as how incredible the Ratchet & Clank reboot and Crash Bandicoot The Insane trilogy look. And they look nuts. I'm just gonna say, they look amazing. They'd also better bring back Biff and Gary, as the lack of their presence in Road Trip angered quite a few players. Enough of that, though. If I want to share ideas on what ModNation should be like if it was ported to the PS4 or some other platform, hopefully the PS4. But if I want to share ideas on that, I'll do something separate. So this is your fair warning. If you did not already know previously, this is your fair warning. This is your last chance to get some races in before the servers go down permanently. And you won't even be able to share creations either, if they're talking about everything going down, which I'm pretty sure they are. Also, it's your last chance to play Little Big Planet Planning. Little Big Karting Planet, what the heck. It's your last chance to play that game online, if you're into that. I'm sure a lot of people are into that, don't get me wrong, I'm just not one of them. But having all that said, thank you for listening to this, and I hope that sometime in the future I can see you out there, or at least, before the servers go down. I hope I can see you out there on the tracks for one last lap of this magnificent kart racer. Well, more than one lap.
It's just a figure of speech.